Back last year at the World Student Games in China, you won bronze. What did that feel like?
Oh, it felt amazing. I didn't know I was running in that relay leg until half an hour before, because our 4x1 relay, I was doing third leg on the 4x1 relay where we came fourth, which was the race before the women's 4x4 relay. And I think one of the girls in the 4x4 team was a bit ill and she didn't know whether she was going to be running, so she had to warm up as if she was going to run, not knowing whether she would. So there needed to be two other girls sort of almost on standby, ready to step in. And I got called up, sort of just putting on my trainers and stuff at the end of the 4x1, saying, oh, you need to come and do the 4x4. I'd never run a 400 before in my life, and I had to do it in a 60,000 seater stadium in front of all these people in the final of a World Championships. And I was so scared, but I think that's why I ran so well, because I was on last leg, got the baton in about fourth, sort of joint third, and I just knew that this girl behind me is a 52-second 4 flat runner, and I knew that she'd be chasing me down, so I just had to go for it. And that's exactly what I did, and I managed to sort of get in front of her in the first 100 and just hold it, and came out with the fourth quickest split of the competition. So, and to cross the line in bronze position was just amazing. It was my first international medal, so to do it at a competition like that, completely out of the blue as well, was really good. Never forget it.
Emily was on the podium to receive a medal at the Olympic Stadium. Sum up into words how that felt for you.
Unbelievable, unbelievable. And we were sitting just above where the podium was. I mean, the whole experience was phenomenal. Going to the Olympic Stadium, and you know, even sort of things like the station, you know, were amazing. So I think the whole thing's going to be phenomenal. But yeah, to watch her win a race at the Olympic Stadium, I mean, the first ever sort of women's 200 metre championship medal, Emily won, you know, and I will never forget that. It was incredible.
Really good. It was amazing to compete in that stadium, to get a feel for the track, and to go, I was saying when I was there, to go through the whole process that they're going to be doing in the Olympics. So having the whole track to warm up on, and then going through the first call, then going to the second call, then walking out onto the track, just like they're going to be doing in July in a few months' time. So it was really good. There wouldn't be an athlete there that said that experience wouldn't have inspired them to sort of want to really work hard back in training and think, but I really want to get in this Olympic team, and if it's not going to happen this year, then maybe 2016 it could happen for me. I've been really lucky with my sponsorship this year. I'm on the UK Futures programme, which has been really supportive. They give us all sort of financial support, so it gives us money to get to competitions abroad and various things like that if we need to get our coach to competitions and stuff like that, as well as physio and doctor. If we've got like an injury, we can go to the doctor and get a scan. And I think last year I had a knee problem and it was persisting, so like it just wouldn't go. So I was lucky enough to sort of go to the EIS doctor and say that I don't know what's quite wrong here. And he sort of said, well, let's get an MRI on it. And then I was lucky to, the next day I was getting an MRI scan and the results were the day after. So that's so good to be able to get treatment like that so quickly, rather than having to wait months, weeks, months for things like that. And then there's a new Bristol website called Sponsorcraft, which I went on this year to try and get funding for more competitions abroad. Like this one I'm going to Geneva this weekend, sort of just below altitude. Going to be really good competition and a really good opportunity to try and break the 53-second barrier. And thanks to the sort of funding that people have been kindly donating to me via that website, has made me be able to get out there and get to these competitions that are going to really help me get the times I need and able to get me to London, really. And then I've been sponsored by a company called Gallia Sun, who've provided me with special sun cream for athletes, so it's sweat resistant. You only have to put it on once and then you're sort of covered for the whole day. And in weather like this, that's exactly what we need, so it's been really been so grateful for the support that I've been given.
If you're not a world-class performer in an event that appeals to people, it's very, very difficult to get any sponsorship. And I think now Usain Bolt's come around, and other people like Johan Blake, Tyson Gay, they've actually in a way devalued sprinting for the people who are a little bit below, whereas when I was running, somebody like Jason Gardner could make a great living being around the 10-second barrier. Now that's just nowhere near good enough. So if you're a big shoe company, why are you going to sponsor someone who's being beaten by 4 or 5 metres? And it's not quite the same in the women's sprinting, but it's difficult if you're not at that top level. And that the tough thing is just because you're not at the top level now doesn't mean that you're not going to be in a couple of years, and that's when you really need the support.
What are the difficulties then in trying to secure potential sponsorship?
Well, you have to get the UKA sponsorship, you just have to maintain a very high level of performance. So there's always that sort of, am I going to be good enough to continue getting the sponsorship next year? And this year is quite crucial in that respect, because she'll be too old for the Futures scheme next year. So she has to be good enough to get what they call then development funding, and that really is the top people. They have podium funding, which is sort of Jessica Ennis and so on, and then they have development funding, which again has really, really, really good people on it. So you have to maintain a certain level of, a very high level of performance to get that. You know, potentially the funding could drop off quite hugely next year, so she's got to, there's always that pressure really, that in order to keep the funding you've got to perform.
I haven't felt pressured too much yet this season because I still feel I'm very new into the 400 and people don't really see me as almost a threat. The more I feel more sort of scared, because I know the pain that's coming, I know it's going to hurt, and it's like that anticipation of when is the pain going to kick in. But pressure, no, I don't feel too bad. Like, I suppose at international competitions when I was a junior, there's pressure, like you're at the World Junior Championships and you've got the Jamaican and the American like in the lanes outside you. That can be quite intimidating. But I almost feel more pressure for the heats in those competitions, because once you get past the heat, then you're in the semi, and then once you get past that, you're in the final. And in the final, you can just relax and go for it because you've made the top 8 kind of thing. So it's just learning to deal with it and turning the pressure into drive to run well, really.
For the London Olympics, Emily needs to do quite a task, really. It's not easy for anyone. So if we're looking at the 200 metres, then she's got to run 23:10, which is 3/10 quicker than what she's currently ran, and she's got to finish in at least the top 2 at the Olympic trials in a few weeks' time. If it's not the 200 that we're going to go for, because we still have a choice, then she's got to run probably in the low 52 seconds for the 400. And we're going to make a decision as to which event she's going to do at the trials, whether it be the 200 or the 400, about which place she'll have the best opportunity to make either a 4x400 metre relay or an individual 200. So it's going to be a difficult decision because both of them are pretty close. There's no way we can do both at the trials, and it's going to be a case of, once all of the information is known, that week leading up to the trials, to say, right, we're going to do this, or we're going to do this, and we're going to stick with it, and we're going to make the best of it. But it's not going to be an easy task. And really the Olympics for Emily's come a couple of years too early. If we're to make it, it's a massive bonus, and it's going to be a great experience for moving forward. But 2014 Commonwealth Games is a big game for 400 metres, then the 2015 World Championships, then the 2016 Rio Olympics.
What are your thoughts about her possibly progressing, or now that she has actually progressed into the 400 metre?
I think that's the right event for her in the long run, and it's a tough event. It's a killer of an event. I had to do it, and I didn't really like it very much. And yeah, it's really hard, but it's definitely the right event for her. I think you're fighting a losing battle, I think, as a British girl coming up against the Americans and the Caribbeans in the 100 and the 200. I think, well, I mean, results have shown in the last 4 or 5 years that our 400 metre runners, when they're at their best, can compete with the top girls in the world. So I think it's definitely the best choice for Emily and Jared as well.
It would be absolutely incredible if she made it, and I just hope if she doesn't make it that this selection has been done fairly. I think it would be very devastating for her if someone who was below her in the rankings, for example, got selected, because you can never really tell what the selectors are going to do.
If I'm going for the 200, ideally I need to run about 23 flat, because the A qualifying time is 23.1 and my PB is 23.4, so I'm not far off it. I just need to get the races to sort of get my time down and be able to get that qualifying time. With the 400 4x4 relay, ideally I need to get my time down to sort of mid to low 52 seconds, which is going to be difficult and it's going to be a challenge. But I think with the right race, the right weather conditions, it's possible. And then, depending on whether I do the 200 or the 400 at trials, it would be beating certain people, again running certain times, coming in the top. In the 400 it would be the top 6, hopefully pushing to run in the top 5, top 4, and then sort of waiting by the phone really on that Monday to see if I've been picked.
Let's say you do get picked. What's the feeling there?
Oh, I wouldn't be able to describe it. It would be incredible. Just speechless, really. It would take ages to sink in. But I almost don't want to think too much about that now, because I don't want to. To me, the Olympics this year is going to be a bonus rather than being. It will be disappointing if I don't go, but it's going to be more of a bonus if I do get to go. So I'm just going to do all I can now to try and get myself in that position and then see what happens.